Hello, my name is Justin, one of the service technicians here at Cosen Saws. Today we're going to go over the SH-500M from arrival at your facility to setting it up and being ready to run, a little encompassment of the entire saw, some of the finer detail points, and the operating. When you get the saw, it's going to arrive on a pallet just like it sits. You're going to have, of course, plastic over top of it. So once you guys remove the plastic, this is kind of what you'll see. We've opened up the toolbox to show you a little bit more into that. Inside of it, you're going to see the bar for your part stop. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. Extra chip brush, touch-up paints, leveling pad, and some miscellaneous tools. Make sure you guys take that off the pallet. You're also going to have user's manual. Everything we're going to go over will be in here in a little bit finer details. We will reference some stuff in there for you guys while we're talking about it. You're also going to have your in-feed table that will bolt on the back. So make sure you guys remove that. Sometimes when you get the saw, the trunk line here will be tied up. Make sure you guys untie that. Saw is held down to the pallet with the 4 silver bolts. Take those off. These will be your leveling bolts for once you're ready to set your machine. Back side of the saw, only the saw itself. You guys will have this little cardboard box here. This is the 2 poles and the foot for your material stopper. So you'll make sure you get that off the pallet. Control box will be tied up also. Make sure you guys take that off. You don't want to hit it while you're trying to move it. So one shipping bracket on this saw needs to be removed before operation. Located down in here, we've already removed the bolts. There'll be 2 bolts, one on the bottom, one in the backing. Once you take it out, just kind of slide it out of the way there. And then I would suggest stick it in your toolbox so you have it if you ever want to move the machine. Power hookup on this machine is external, does not go into the electrical cabinet. It's going to be right here with a small cover. Once you guys have a licensed electrician do your hookup, 3 hot legs, and your ground. We have this one set up externally for demonstration purposes. This machine is able to have 2 adjustable arms. So the movable arm will be set for your material width and give yourself a little bit of room so you don't come down on your material with your coolant valve here. The opposite side, what we call the fixed side, is slightly movable dependent on your angle. We will get into it a little bit more when we go over the angles. But keep in mind that this will need to be moved when miter cutting. For the miter cutting, this machine does have the angle scale along with a lock. So you would need to unlock, rotate to your desired setting, and then set back. We do set our machines so you have a hard stop at 90 degree, which is labeled as 0 degrees. So if you ever have an instance where you notice it's out a little bit, check that this bolt and stopper has not come loose. You may need to reset it as such. Going around this side of the machine, does have variable speed drive. As the note clearly states on the top of it, do not adjust unless the blade is running. We have had people in the past that will turn this knob when the machine is idle, and it will cause damage to the pulley set up in there and will have to be fixed by a technician. This machine does also come with a coolant hose for washdown. Cleaner you keep it, of course, the better it's going to last you, better cuts you're going to get out of it. Backside, this is a 3 horsepower motor to a gearbox to your drive wheel. You got a sight gauge. For your level, you should see a bubble in 2/3 to 3/4 full. We'll go over the maintenance on it and changing oils with the maintenance portion of this. You also have an upper limit switch and a lower limit switch. Lower limit switch is plunger when the machine is all the way at the bottom through your cut. If you ever have one when you're not cutting all the way through, check and make sure that this isn't loose so there's no debris on your switch. The upper limit switch on these, if you notice, does have a settable stop. What this will do is when we go in the operation portion, when your saw cuts through and returns up, you can set this so you're not cutting a bunch of air. It will go just above your part that you want. So you guys have that option on this machine. Capable of mitering up to 60 degrees as it says here. single direction. Hydraulically raised head, also controlled for the down feed. Full stroke hydraulic vise. And while we're in this area, these 3 bolts right here are the bolts to mount your infeed table that's on your pallet. So you remove the 3 bolts, put your table up, and bolt it back on. When leveling the machine, make sure that you don't have a tweak in the table. You want to run a flat edge across the table to your vise. Hydraulic unit on this machine is inside this panel here. It does have a sight gauge for your fluids. You would need to remove the 4 screws. The whole unit comes out. It's going to be your pump, your reservoir, and your motor. It's all together. We'll go over the changing of it in the maintenance portion. Manual band tension gauge. We set this according to our band tension gauge for this machine with our blade on it. I do want to put a note out there for you guys that if you change to a different blade vendor, which you're gonna, whoever you may choose to use, and there's a slight difference in the length of your blade, you may or may not have enough tension. What I would suggest is once you change blades, contact your representative, have them come out, put a blade tension gauge on it, and set this according to that blade so that you guys don't have to worry about cut quality. Normal things you're going to see when the blade's over tensioned or not tensioned enough is going to be a quick breaking blade, a worn blade, or your cut's going to deviate as it's going through because it's trying to find the path of least resistance. So we'll get into this in a little bit more detail here in a second. Operator station that is hinged so you can kind of get it out of your way. If you need to have, if you're doing miter cuts, you want to move it over a little bit. The only thing we're going to talk about right quick on this one is the main power. This will be the power into the machine. Keeps your whole control cabinet and all your electronics dead until you apply power. One thing I want to try to hit real quick too is if you ever need service or anything like that, your data plate and your maintenance plate. Your data plate is going to give you all your information, including your serial number, that we're going to need for any issues that may arise. To access the doors on this machine, they both have the same style latches. Open the latch. On the idle wheel side, you do have a stop pin. Remove the pin, open the door, insert the pin back in, keeps the door from swinging back closed on you. The doors do have sensors on them, so the machine will not operate if the doors are open. If you cannot get things to work, you may want to look at both the switches, make sure that they're engaged, just to make sure everything's working as it should be. Idle wheel, drive wheel. Based off your drive wheel is your chip brush, where it runs off the wheel itself. On this machine, this bolt on the lower left corner here is the only one that you'll adjust to bring the brush in and out to clean your chips. If you do have too much pressure on this to the blade, this will spin. It'll skip on the wheel and not allow your brush to spin and do its job. So make sure that you have that set properly. When you guys do wear these out, they start getting really thin. Go ahead and put a new chip brush on. As we said, you get one spare in the toolbox. And then if you need them, call our parts department and we can get you some more. So to apply power to your machine, turn your machine on, you should see the power light up. That's going to indicate that the machine now has power. To raise the saw head, we're going to retract the e-stop. Saw head has the automatic up function, so it will raise until it lands on its head stop or you hit saw bow down. So this one is set up at full capacity right now. Hydraulic vices, full stroke, just hold it open. If you want it all the way open, closed to go all the way closed. Once you go on this machine and clamp on a piece of material, continue to hold it for about a 2 count. That will ensure that the machine knows it's clamped so the blade will start. A lot of new operators get to it, they hit it real quick, they hit blade start, nothing happens. So we want to make sure we go over that with you guys. So for the coolant for this machine, if you turn it to the eye, that will be coolant pump on. This will be what you would want to use for when you're washing down your machine and need the pump to be on when you're not in a cutting process. The straight up and down to where it shows you the faucet, the coolant is off all the time. Switch it to the O, the coolant pump will kick on when it's in cutting operation. Of course, blade start, blade stop, saw bow up, saw bow down in a cut rate, saw bow down rapid, E-stop, and then this will be your feed control for your descent. I'm going to bring the machine down a little bit. You will notice when you're going down with the machine, you will not hear the hydraulics. The hydraulics will only kick on demand for when the saw head is being raised or the vices are being operated. When adjusting the saw arm, all you need to do is loosen up, slide into position. Again, 3 or 4 fingers away from your material is a good rule of thumb. You want to be as close as possible and make sure that you lock them back down. You can pull these out and set them if you need a little bit better leverage. While we're on the arm, you do have cutoff valves, one for each arm. Of course, broken pipe is closed, open, inline. Adjust them accordingly. This one is going to put your coolant flow on the blade to your cutting surface. The one on this side is just washing off the extra debris before it gets to your chip brush. This machine, I want to go over something real quick with you guys while I kind of got it in this position. Does have a slide out drip tray where you can adjust if you're cutting larger angles. And what that will do is limit coolant from going on your floor. So that is a pretty nice little feature with this machine. Let me get this one set back up so we don't get it in the way there. Okay. Again, like I spoke about with cutting angles, if you want to loosen this one, move it kind of back out of the way. You do have kind of an indicator here if you're going all the way to 60 degrees. That's where you'd want to set it. If you were to run like this all the time, your guide arm is going to be too far from your material, causing bad cuts. So keeping the guide arms into that material is kind of key. If you're cutting 45 degrees, go to the designation for 45 and lock it down there. To rotate this saw to an angle, again, we're going to loosen up the handle here. And I find it easiest to go on the idle side here where the handle is to be able to move your saw. So you can set it. Let's go 45 degrees on this one. And then at that point, we would lock it down. So pretty easy. Not too much involved in it. Go ahead and set this one back around to 0. Lock it back down. I do want to go over while we're in this area real quick that this does have a precision ground hinge system in it. It is adjustable, so we can make adjustments if it ever is to come out due to you being used for a while, starts tough to wear. We understand that, so we can adjust it. But it is pretty good system where it will give you a nice flow up and down, usually for years and years with no hassle. So back to talking about the tension real quick. When we set this machine up, we put a tension gauge on it. We'll tension this blade to the proper tension, and we're going to set so the indicator touches the side of this at the line. So I would suggest when you guys need to do a blade change or something, do 3 or 4 full rotations out, whatever's best for you guys. Change your blade, put it back, and then you know you have to go exactly 3 back. If you ever were to lose your position, just make sure that the indicator touches at the line. Do want to go over real quick with you guys the adjusting the blade speed. So if we clamp this up, I'm just going to start the blade in a lower position at 0, so it's not going to drop down on us. Making the adjustments to blade speed. Again, machine is running only. You will turn your indicator. You can hear the saw speeding up. That's how easy the adjustments are. So there is a scale on the back of your gearbox here that will kind of reference what your blade speeds are going to be based on the little indicator up here on the top of your knob. So I'm gonna raise this saw up and demonstrate a cut to you guys. So I'm gonna stop the blade. I'm gonna go ahead and raise the head all the way up. So to adjust your cutting speed is gonna be, again, based on your material, blade speed, tooth pitch, such and such. I'm gonna show you guys the basic operations of this saw. Once your material's in and clamped, saw head is above your material, you're gonna hit blade start. You're gonna notice that the saw head is gonna sit stationary. We haven't engaged the cut yet. This is when you would set your blade speed. Once you have your blade speed set, you will then hit the down feed button. That'll engage the auto cut feature. So once you've hit it, now we're gonna control by your valve. So as you'll notice, when it gets to the end of its cut, which will be here in just a second, the saw head will return up all the way until where you have that stop set at for your upper limit. If you do need to stop it before it gets all the way to that limit, you can hit the saw bow down button, which are not the feed button, but the actual saw bow down. That'll stop it in its process. At this point, you could open your vices, remove your material, or get your next material set up. So on your guys' material stoppers, since this one's all nice and on the pallet, not gonna take it apart, you remove the 2 screws, the longer rod goes in with the piece from the toolbox, and then it has the stopper foot. And if you look in the manual, kind of shows you how to put it together. Pretty basic, but wanted to show it to you guys so you kind of have an understanding of it. On the maintenance portion of this machine, you have 1 grease point on the idle wheel. I would suggest, depending on your cutting, if you cut 40 hours a week, 3 to 4 pumps a week. If you notice excess grease, back off. If you notice a little dry, you can always do more. On the gearbox on this machine, uses a 85 W140 weight oil. Has the fill on the top, which is the white plug. Single drain plug located right in the bottom. If I remember correctly, this one uses 2.5 quarts. I usually tell people buy 3. You can always have a little extra on hand. I would suggest 6 months into production, if you're heavy cutting, replace it once a year after that. Same thing with the replacement on the hydraulic system. After 6 months, you probably want to do the initial change. Then again, every year after that. This will use anything between a 24 to 32 weight oil. 32 weight DTE, common at most places. That's fine to use. This system holds 2.1 gallons. So 2.5 gallons, you'll have a little left over. Coolant in this, you'll fill right from here. This holds just under 8 gallons of coolant. You just pour it into here. It goes into a holding tank in the base to be used. Same thing, you want to change it out periodically when you notice it not performing as it should, or if there's a lot of particulates. To store this saw, I would suggest bring the head all the way down using the rapid button. Once it hits its hard limit, while still holding the button, go ahead and press your E-stop. That's going to put no strain on your hydraulics while your saw sits overnight, over the weekend, or not in use. But once you do hit your E-stop retract back on, the head will go right back up.